Once again, I have watched the episode, edited it, and uploaded on the same night the show came on. I would like my applause. It's only happened twice. So we are back to review let's get into this review. So, this episode is The Retreat. And so what did they title this? Let me see. Let me look at my notes, bro. Okay, so first I just want to talk about the opening. So every episode I'm looking at this opening and I'm like, okay, I know it's a TV show and they probably filmed that opening like that was probably like the first thing they did when they had everybody there. But it's so interesting to see the people who they paired up for the opening on that Ready to Love when it comes on. It's just so funny to see like the people who are not there and the people who they have them with. Like they need to figure out a better way to do the opening. I think they need to take you know what, I'm always giving own suggestions, but whatever. I mean, who knows, it might get back to them. But for the opening, I get it looks okay in the beginning leading up to when people are getting cut, but like now that we're on episode 9 and some of these people are gone, and it's like I don't necessarily need to see them hugged up with people who they were never shown to us as okay, it just looks funny for them to be all in the, I don't know, it just looks more produced when you think about it. I don't know, the opening is funny to me to see how they pair people up. And as the season goes on and people go home, that opening is even more funny to me. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Comment down below, let me know. So, first let's just say the views at the house, this is the weekend of the retreat. The views of where the house is are lovely, surrounded by water. The house looks nice from the outside. I'm loving the scenery. I'm loving it. Okay, so Clifton and Dakia get there first, and then Joy comes in. She definitely put her bag on Clifton's bed. Dakia thought she was going to get some time because her and Clifton apparently talked about it, but we're going to see how this episode played. We're going to get to the rest of how the episode played out a little bit later. So then, like, Dakia was walking around with Sabrina, and they were looking at the different rooms or whatever, and they got to Clifton's room, and she was like, oh, 2 bags. Completely shocked. You know what I mean? Like, I guess what do you do? I mean, what do you do? I feel like, you know, we obviously knew how deep the connection was with Joy, but maybe it wasn't so obvious while they were filming because they weren't always together. So, you know, the kid could only go off of whatever Clifton was telling her. You know what I mean? So it you know. So Sabrina, the kid, and Clifton are off to the side talking, and one of them were like, I saw 2 bags on your bed. And he was like, no, you didn't. And then he went to go look, and then he was like, oh, I don't know whose bag that is. And then they was like, He was like, yeah, I know that bag. I know whose bag that is. I know the smell. Like, that is so funny to me. It's clear that Clifton was realizing that the decision is going to have to be made sooner rather than later, because it's no way that he was going to be able to spend the same amount of time with both of these women. I mean, Sabrina had even asked, like, oh, do you think people will be sharing beds tonight? And he was like, it's hard to say. And just how they edited that whole thing just made Clifton look so uncomfortable. He started sweating and everything. I think it was funny how Sabrina called him right out on that. The kid obviously was not feeling it. But, you know, sometimes as women, even though something is right in front of our face, sometimes we have built up a persona of who we want this man to be to us. And we just ignore all of the obvious shit that's in your face. And I feel like that's what the kid did. Because I said a few episodes back that I was about to start seeing some stuff from Clifton that I didn't want to see. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, once you meet somebody, you have this whole like, oh my God, he's the one. And then all of the humanisms And then you just start to learn about that person. And, you know, this situation is so much different than regular life. Like, if this was regular life, she really wouldn't have known what was going on with him and Joy. She would have just had to rely on what he was telling her. So I'm pretty sure it's hard in that situation to figure out how to move with multiple situations in front of each other. So I couldn't do it. Kudos to y'all. I couldn't do it. So then Tommy arrives and he, you know, welcomes them to the house, asks them how they liked everything, and he lets them know that it's time to focus on quality. Spend that quality time, get to know each other more, etc., etc. Now, he did also say that Tina was having some car trouble, but she was still on her way. Now, I wonder if that was just all editing because she had already decided to leave the show. But then in the trailer next week, she it looks like she pops up the next day, like at the end of the retreat, and it's like, why? But I guess we'll see. So Tommy also lets them know that one man is going home this weekend, which means probably the next day they're going to send somebody home. So everybody just, you know, is kind of mingling around the house and trying to, I guess, work on their connections or see what I feel like everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop because they know that people are overlapping, right? So people like breaking off into separate conversations. Tori and Demetrius have a conversation, which that's part of the unorthodox part. Like, I don't want the two dudes that I'm talking to be sitting there talking about their feelings for me together. That's why I couldn't do it. No, y'all don't even need to know each other, okay? You stay over there and you stay over there. Thank you very much. Anyway, so like Donovan and Carmen get to have a little conversation. Donovan rubbing on her legs. They got a little connection there. Like, they're all discussing why Tina's not there and like how they don't think she's ready for the process and all this other stuff. I mean, people are trying to call her throughout the retreat. Paul tried to holler at her. Donovan tried to call her, and they're not getting the answer. So they sitting down at dinner, and Sabrina says she requested to sit by Demetrius, and looks like Donovan overheard what their conversation was. Everybody's probably just trying to fill everybody out. And she made a comment that she didn't know if Demetrius liked her. This man has you as his top one. Like, what was you? I guess she was not. I don't know. Like, I don't know. That was kind of weird to me too. I was confused too, Demetrius. Then Tori tried to break the ice and he asked everybody, okay, where's everybody sleeping? Basically, look, he ain't got no connections right now. What's going on? Where's everybody sleeping? Who else don't got a connection? Poor Tori. So then after dinner, you know, everybody like gets comfortable and they supposed to be chilling or whatever, and you hear them take Joy's voice and say, you know, get into something comfortable, whatever. And then they show Clifton and Joy coming out in these onesies. And I mean, I hear everybody saying, oh, okay, well, they planned that or whatever. And they possibly could have. But if you're an adult and you ever been to adult sleepover, you don't have a onesie? I feel like a onesie is a staple for adult sleepovers, ski trips, you know what I mean? Like, just in general. I mean, because I would have had a onesie too. So I don't know, but, well, I guess it's whatever. I don't know. They could have planned it, but it also could have just been a coincidence because just some people just like onesies. And I know a lot of people with onesies. Like, I got a couple onesies in here right now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I could also be biased because I'm rooting for that couple anyway, but I digress. But Dakia is pissed because that kind of sent a message and let everybody know what was what without saying it. That was a non-verbal cue right there. So then Tori and Sabrina have a conversation and Sabrina lets him know that she only sees him as a friend. Like I said, it's certain situations that it could have been good, but certain things happen in the succession that they happened, and it just messes it all up. And I feel like that's what happened with them. But then Tori has a breakaway scene where he says, you know, he feels like he's playing Duck, Duck, Goose, and everybody has a seat for him. And I was like, Tori, Duck, Duck, Goose is different than musical chairs. But I get what you're saying. I got what you're saying. But I was just like, poor thing, he just ready to go. So the next morning, they, you know, show some of them in the kitchen, fixing mimosas. They show Clifton on his laptop, being all excited about waking up with Joy. It looks like they had a good night to me. You know what I'm saying? He done put on her sweater. He done walked out there. I don't know. They want us to think that they slept together. Joy did make a comment saying that she didn't have to do anything physical to solidify her connection with Clifton. And I get that. But do y'all think they slept together? I'm going to reserve my thoughts. But anyway, they were both happy. They looked like they had a good night. I know the kid was pissed. I would have been pissed too, but that's the way the dice roll sometimes. I don't know. I feel bad for the kid on this part because it sucks to have to, like, you know, see that before somebody tells you what's up. So I don't know. I guess we're going to get some of that info in the next episode. So, like, they had showed a conversation with Joy and Clifton. They was sitting by the water. It was so pretty. You know, they was like, I could do this for a long time. I could do this all day. That makes me think about that song Hours. Anyway, what I think about this conversation, she asked him pretty much, she was trying to get, do you think that your other connection still thinks it's a connection? Like, where you at with it? Pretty much she was just trying to ask him what's up, right? And I don't know what he actually told her, because that conversation to me seemed like it was very chopped up. So it was basically, the outcome that we got was that he was saying that he didn't know, but I don't know if he actually said all that because of the way it was put together. It just didn't flow all the way right to me, but we'll see. Like, it would have been no suspense if they would have just said, you know, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, because his actions, so that, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, did he they coincidentally bring the onesies? Because if that's not solidifying that we're together, that I'm choosing you, that I've made my choice and my connections, then why is she asking where his head is at with it if they didn't already solidify that by sleeping in the same room and wearing the onesies? That's why I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. So then they showed the kid and Sabrina talking about the whole Joy and Clifton thing, and the kid says she feels blindsided. You know, the major thing in this is that there was no communication. This is unorthodox. Now, in the real world, maybe he would not have had to be responsible to keep both of them posted. But in this situation, I think that they probably should have communicated a little bit better to avoid people feeling like they were going to be embarrassed on TV or embarrassed in front of a group of people. You know what I mean? And, you know, Clifton probably wasn't thinking about that. I don't think it hit him until he actually got to the retreat and shit started happening. And he had to, like, you know, deal with it as it came up. Sabrina tells the kid that she needs to talk to Clifton. I agree. They need to have a conversation. Clifton should have probably set her down before they came out with the onesies. So the kid and Paul have a conversation by the water, and they actually made a connection. Now, I don't know if, you know, she just wasn't checking for Paul because she was checking for the other dudes, but I really think that... Can you go somewhere? Now, I don't think that, I think that they will actually make... I think that they will actually make a very a cute couple. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, like, yeah, the kid and Paul are talking about the water, and Paul knows exactly what to say. Paul is smooth with the words with the kid, and the kid is feeling it, and it's everything she needs to hear. And he thinks she's a total package. The kid actually shed a tear over Paul's words. Now, you know, Paul is a Sagittarius, so, you know, they got that Sag energy, and we'll see what happens, okay? We'll see what happens. So then Tommy comes back to talk to the women because, you know, like I said, a man got to go home today. So Tommy takes the women outside and they all sit around and they talk. So let's see. We got Sabrina, Dakia, Carmen, Joy. Is that it? It's only 4 women left? It is only 4 women left. That is pressure, okay? Because you got Paul, Clifton, Donovan, Tori, Demetrius. Paul, Clifton, Donovan, Tori, Demetrius. It's getting down to the wire. That's all I know. So Tommy asked them who their strongest connections are. First of all, he said it's tension at the table. Yeah, it's 4 women left. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, it's getting down to the wire. So Tommy's like, you know, what did I miss? And Carmen's like, everything. And he was like, what? Tell me all about it. She's like, I ain't snitches get stitches. I'm not trying to get in trouble. And then he asked them, you know, who their strongest connection was. And then Sabrina says, it's the D's. And then so Carmen was like, yeah, it's the D for everybody. So Sabrina says it's still between Donovan and Demetrius for her. Carmen says Donovan is her strongest connection. Joy obviously says Clifton. And so then Dakia says, you know, she did like Clifton, but she sees a genuine connection between her and Joy. So she ends up letting them know that Paul has jumped up in the line. And Tommy's like, well, if Joy wasn't here, she was like, oh, I would have snatched him up already. So then he asked them about their weakest connection. So Joy says Donovan was her weakest connection. Dakia says Donovan and Demetrius. Carmen says Tori, and Sabrina says Paul. So that's how that boiled down. So now Paul and Tori end up being in the bottom. Tommy calls Sabrina up to make the announcement. So everybody comes outside, and she's like, I have an update for 2 of you. And she says Tori and Paul to step forward. Now, I think we all know that I think Tori's going to go home. We already established that part. But Paul could go home too. But I don't think Paul's going to go home. I think Tori's going to go home. I'm irritated because they left us hanging. It's going to be another one of those episodes where nobody gets cut this episode. So next week, we will have to see who gets cut from the dudes in the beginning. And then we'll see the woman who gets cut at the end, which I kind of like those episodes. I got a love-hate situation with those episodes. Like, I like the fact that we get to see 2 eliminations. It makes the episode seem more juicy. So the next episode looks very interesting. There's going to be drama. Tina ends up showing up. And I'm just like, well, I guess a lot of people will say why. But if she kind of already knew she was going to quit because she wasn't responding to nobody. And then why didn't one of the guys offer to have her ride with them? But then on the other hand, she has a 2-year-old daughter. So going away for a 2-night retreat. I'm not sure how, you know, I would have felt about that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, she probably kind of felt like she was choosing that over her daughter to have to do that. I don't know if she really had car trouble. But all this is speculation. I wasn't there. I'm just going off of what I'm seeing. I don't know. But you know, she missed a lot. So, and everybody already has kind of come to the conclusion based off of how they edited it that they're not feeling the way that they're not feeling that she's serious about the process. It looks like Dakia and Clifton have a sit down. I cannot wait to see that because I want to see kind of where Clifton's head is at and if he's going to be straightforward with her, you know, about it. Because they didn't have him being straightforward with Joy in the conversation when she was talking about where, you know, what the deal is. At this point, some decisions got to be made. By the time he gets to retreat, you have to know what you're going to do because you're going to be called to the carpet. Y'all know I'm rooting for Joy and Clifton. I'm also rooting for Paul and Dakia. I like their connection. We'll see what happens. And then I feel like Sabrina is going to pull a Sabrina and choose herself. I feel like Sabrina 2.0 is going to do what Sabrina from last season did because Donovan is not making her feel all warm and fuzzy with the time frame that he's been single. And Demetrius is like, he apparently is hard to read because she didn't even know whether he still liked her. So there's that. Anyway, we'll see what happens next week. Like the video, share, subscribe. I'm on the road to 1K. I am so far away. Help me out, share me out. You know what I'm saying? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.